How everybody doing? Hello, hello. All right, so I'm just gonna start the show right now. So what I've noticed yesterday, it's so weird though. I want to talk a little bit about Sofi today. I'm gonna stay only an hour today. That's my commitment for today live stream. And I'm sure, thank you so much for joining me yesterday on live. And I like this free form so that, I don't have to edit anything, and, I don't have to spend so much time editing and all that stuff. Although, short videos also fun to do too. But live is just a lot better, and I get my thoughts out kind of live, and this is my practice run, right? Just to be a normal human being, because like usually I feel like when I talk to people, I'm not a normal human being, so that's why this is the next best thing to me. All right, so what are we talking about today? I see Jason there. Thank you for joining there. Let's see. So I was looking at a couple of things here. So well, let's recap a little recap. Let's preview what we're going to talk about today. It's going to be about Sofi and what I noticed a little bit about the earnings and all that stuff, and the difference between what they're covering right now. Sofi, they not complete beat. It's not a beat completely. They miss. What did they miss? So they miss earning by a lot. So down by this much, but I'll tell you later on what is going on there, and I'm sure the titles kind of give it away already, but I'll point that out for you in a minute. What's the other one? And this is a surprise on revenue. So earnings not so much, but revenue went up by 3%. That's not too much at all. Keep in mind, revenue went up by 3%, but what did the stock do today? Look at this shenanigan. So right there, this candle right here today, there were 125 million shares being traded back and forth. Okay, now compared to GameStop, the float is a little higher. If you look at the float right here, so 3 times GameStop's float. Okay, let me double check that. See, so Sofi has 3 times GameStop float. So if you want to kind of compare apples to apple, you have to divide that by 3. So it's just to compare, right? The amount of shares being traded back and forth in this particular company versus GameStop. Divided by 3. So 40 million shares. Guess how many shares being traded on GameStop today? Look at this little tiny amount right here. 3 million shares. 3 million. Okay, according to TradingView anyway. So 3 million versus 100 or something, but if you adjust it, it's 40 million. So imagine if we go back to 40 million shares trading back and forth again. So the volume is not there, but yet the price keep going down, right? Now this is the most bullish thing that you could get. And I have this this indicator right here called trader indicator. Hold on, let me see what indicator is this. I think it was trader something. Ah man, I missed the. I'll tell you later. But what this indicator is telling you is that it's oversold right here. So when, oh man, Toby, come on. Okay, you need to get out. 1 second. Sorry, you guys. I took him out a little bit earlier, but I guess he's out. Okay, so with this one, what I've noticed is that anytime you have this red line right here, right, and it's called like bullish indicator, right, like a diversion, you see this like curling upward, tight, right here, Bollinger Band, right, and it's indicative of oversold. And what happened, and this is a daily candle, by the way, so when it oversold and it's up here, the diversion is it's like a spring, so to speak. Same thing happens here. See that down here, but then when it trending back up right here, it should have spring back up, but look, that's the spring right here. But what did they do? They always release it after hours, right? So that tells you one thing, right? Or many things actually, but the most important thing is that it's being manipulated. There's no volume whatsoever on this particular stock, so it's very easy for them to bring the price down. Hello, hi Lynn, thank you so much for joining. But how's everybody doing today? Let's see. But yeah, so I'm again, like, this is, again, it's a psychological warfare, right? Price is all about psychological here. This has nothing to do with the company itself. For those of you, I'm sure we're all echo chamber here, but if I have new people coming in who doesn't know what this is all about, one of the things that they usually do with the price action like this is to try to scare you in order to sell it. And we all know this because we've been in here for 3 years already since the last running. But I have this right here, estimated earning, marked right here. So of course they don't want GameStop to be up here when the earnings is about to happen in in less than a month. No, a little bit more than a month. Sorry. So of course they want to smack it down as much as they can. Now I have this level here, looked into it, and the reason why I got that level is from the previous price action. If you look at the historical price, I've had this kind of level looking over here because, again, it's been interacting with that price way before the run that we saw, way before Ryan Cohen got in. So the fact that it's interact with that particular, the second highest price already, it's bullish, right? Because we've been buying since then. Now the other levels that I'm looking at is around this level right here, and that's around $8. Oof. If it ever got down to that, man, again, this price action, and again with all of the FUDs that's happening today, if you saw Moran's, right? Oh man, like let me tell you something. I was at work, I was listening live, and I was so pissed at what is going on. Like, why are these people just coming out of the woodwork? And of course, they said that what? GameStop is a monopoly? What? It's new to me. I thought they don't sell anything. I thought we don't make any money. I thought monopoly makes more money than any, like, what is going on? And the fact that they just roll with it, they just anything that stick, right? You call GameStop a monopoly that doesn't make money. Like, how does it make any sense to anybody? And I feel sorry for you if you believe in that type of thing. Man, it's like the level of manipulation, the level of like mental gymnastic that people has to do in order to make this company like sound so bad, right? But anyway, I'll address that later on. let's see. So yeah, just be on a lookout for those levels, and I'm sure they're going to try to hit that level as much as they can. And of course, I looked at this particular level too, at the bounds of the immediately right after they turn the buy button back. But yeah, I mean, we all know what the news media is doing, and because of this date right here, we know that they're about to post an amazing earning. Now, it might not be as amazing as, as I want it to be. Of course, we want it to be in the positive, right? Net income positive, but I think they could beat last year earning. So let's take a look at real quick, because I don't memorize the whole balance sheets here. So we are in quarter 2, so we want to look at quarter 3, right? So this is income. Let's see, quarter 3, this is quarter 2, so quarter 3 right here. So we want to kind of interact with that level again, right? Hopefully we do a little bit better than what we have here, based on the, even if we stay flat on the revenue side. But I mean, we had a whole bunch of items. I don't follow retail that well as far as what we are selling, but I noticed that we are selling a whole bunch of hardware as well. So let me see. So last quarter we did very well on hardware sales. So of course, stuff like this, trade-in and all that stuff. Oh yeah, one more thing about that Illuminati lady who was telling people, oh my god, you rip off young kids, for their own games. I'm like, well, otherwise they get zero. Who's gonna buy a used game, that are not I'm sure if you buy it today and then you return it tomorrow, you probably could get a full price for that, right? But you have to beat the membership, right? But if you have the original packaging, I bet you anything they're going to give you full price. So the fact that she's saying that you only get like 10%, and then thinking that they're rip off. And the most ridiculous thing is that they're saying that GameStop has the monopoly, therefore they are the worst, people on earth. But, Moran's did a very amazing job at tearing these ladies down. But man, I mean, the whole time I was so pissed. Like, it's like at the Illuminati lady. But anyway, I'm sure all of you are pissed too, right? To hear about that, or just comical. It's like it's laughable when they say stuff like that. I'm looking at like a whole bunch of category. Look, like we are selling stuff. Like we're not just, ones. Again, like look at this. Like this is amazing to me, right? We have our own branding too, and eventually this thing is going to be one of those things where people are seeking out because of the quality of the product, right? Hopefully, it's all good product here, and that's what we care about, and that's what Brian Cohen care about, is high quality product with great prospect of people gonna be like seeking out those type of product, just like how they seek out Apple product, right? So yeah, it's coming, and people just don't see it right now because again, all of the FUD, right, meaning all of the negative campaign that is being spewed on this particular company. Man, I just can't get over the fact that they say that GameStop is a monopoly. Because anyway, I digress. So let's take a look at that? Tetron. So I was watching Tetron earlier, and I was like, oh my god. So this type of thing. Now he touched on pretty well on the what is it? The hold on. Let me go back here because I didn't finish the whole live stream, but right here when he's starting to talk about JP Morgan coin, let's touch on that real quick. Oh, why am I not hearing this? Hold on one second. Sorry, got to unmute. Let me go back.
What's on that? What else do I have here? So, there's just notes on what I'm going to talk about in a few minutes here. So I saw this today, though. I quickly wanted to touch on JP Morgan Chase processing $1 billion in JPM coin transactions daily, says the bank's global payment head. So I hadn't heard about this previously. Maybe I did and I forgot about it. So this is very interesting. I don't think it's like, oh yeah, it's like our meme coin, like JP Morgan meme coin, right? It's basically how I read this, and you can determine from yourself. I'll quickly go through it here. Is they're using blockchain technology for new capabilities and just solving problems with what they do day to day. Not like, oh, here's this new coin, it's replacing the dollar, it's this magic thing, right? Which is what, and the reason I say it like that is I think that's what a lot of people think that aren't involved in crypto and digital assets, right? They're looking at a lot of these different things and like, this is so stupid, this is so silly, but they don't understand it's really about like the blockchain and technology itself. Like that's the underlying thing that gives value, I would say, to like financial institutions to potentially use like crypto networks in the future. Of course, we'll have to see how that all plays out. There's a lot to be determined there. The rumored Bitcoin ETF continues to just be a rumor. With the spot ETF, hasn't quite come out yet. We have a Bitcoin halving coming up in April 2024, so that should be interesting because historically speaking, Bitcoin's always done well around the time of the halving and the time after. So could we be in for some kind of bull run 24, 25? Potentially. I mean, overall, I personally believe in Bitcoin in the long term because of the supply. Like it's a fixed supply being created at a fixed rate, whereas the dollar is just being created more and more and more and more. So I think it's a true, unique alternative asset class that as more and more people view it as an alternative asset class, it will gain more and more value and just more legitimacy around the world. I think it already has started to, very much so, since the last rally. But every time there is like a big hype cycle for crypto, you have a lot more people that become aware and kind of stick with it, I would say, and just it grows and grows and grows. And in this time, there's a lot of people that believe in crypto in the long term that are accumulating. So when there is a run up, they're not chasing that run up. And then the people that have kind of got out of it start chasing that run up, right? I mean, you can think what you want about all that. And obviously, we'll have to see what the next couple of years brings. And something else I wanted to touch on before I read this is, let's see, a screenshot. Fun fact, gaming accounted for 62% of total Web3 funding in 2022. So that was a $7 billion total. 62% of it went to gaming. So I'm not sure where Immutable got that specifically, but I just thought it was interesting to share. And Web3 gaming, I think it's here to stay. I think it's going to slowly like enter the gaming world in a way maybe we don't quite understand, right? Or maybe we don't quite see exactly how yet, but I think individuals owning their assets, there's no reason you wouldn't want to own your assets within a game. It's just about it being simple, about it still being about the game. Because if it becomes all about the digital assets and just like about like just NFTs, right? Which is what I think the average gamer fears. Like, oh yeah, like screw NFTs. That was a stupid fad, right? I don't want. Why would that be involved in gaming? That's ridiculous. But if it's just about the game and then it's called a digital asset and you get access to it simply anyway, I think it's a totally different story. Like some of my, I don't know if I should call them my biggest fans or my biggest haters that consistently comment like, yeah, like GameStop's trash. NFT, they failed with NFTs. It's all going to crap. It's like, you just don't see it. But that's all right. That's all right. And it's free engagement. I just mute the negative accounts, let them keep engaging on Twitter, YouTube, wherever it may be. I mean, they're just helping me out. So thank you, haters. Thank you.
Hi, guys. Yes, good Toby. Sorry, Jason. You're right. Yeah, so Tetron hit it on the nail right there. I agree with everything he's saying, but I would like to echo a little bit or kind of off the tangent here. Now, this is JP Morgan coin, right? JP Morgan has been in this space for a long time, but they don't want to tell people that. Now, I remember JP Diamond, which is the CEO of JP Morgan. At one point in time, this is before Bitcoin become a popular thing and whatever, right? He said, if I hear any of my employee buy Bitcoin, I'm going to fire them. It's a famous saying. You go and search it for yourself. And the fact that, the reason why they say that is because they want you to it's like a head fake type thing, right? They tell you one thing and then they go to do the other thing. I bet you anything, since then, they've been developing this particular coin and studying it and all of that stuff, right? On the Ethereum network. Now, another connection that I'm going to draw here is that, and this is the reason why I feel like Ethereum got the green light versus XRP. You have to make that. I have to make that connection because I've been in XRP. Again, I'm biased here. There's a reason why I feel this way, because I hold the coin for a long time, and I think I see the value in XRP. I'm not saying that Ethereum network as the network itself is useless or anything like that. There are use cases for this type of thing, for this network, as long as it's growing and people are developing on the Ethereum network. It's going to be fine. Gamestop is doing that too, right? But if Gamestop were to migrate to a different network like the XRP ledger and all that stuff, it'd still be doable, right? Currently, there is development on the XRP ledger. Now, why do I prefer XRP ledger more than Ethereum? Ethereum has too much going on with it, right? It's not only a token, it's not only a coin that has a capability of smart contract with it, but also a transaction, right? So that's why it costs you so much Ethereum on the layer 1 in order to do those transactions, right? At some point, it costs you $1,000 to do one transaction, and no, not that much, but it depends on how big the network is, how many people are doing the transaction. It's going to cost you so much Ethereum in order to do the transaction. Therefore, they have been developing the layer 2, and that's what Loopring is, right? And it's great that GameStop is developing on Loopring, because Loopring, in my opinion, it's the best network out there in terms of the tokenomics of it, right? I don't know if you take a look at. Let me show you what I mean by that real quick, and I'll go back to XRP in a minute. So, if you look at the Loopring network itself, the supply, it's already been in most of it is already in the circulation, meaning that there's no dilution per se, not much anyway. So there are still close to 30 million Loopring coins out there. Why am I stuttering? There are still close to 30 million LRC. I don't know why I'm stumbling. LRC. Oh, okay, sorry. I'll get to the chat a minute. So 1 second. So there are. What I'm trying to say is that there's the circulation is already been saturated mostly, right? And so that's why I love Loopring, is because if you buy the coin, the coin itself, you're not going to be diluted much more. But if you buy Ethereum, I've shown you guys this before, because Ethereum do not have a max supplies. Most people don't know this. Because they've been indoctrinating to think that Ethereum is much better than Bitcoin. Ethereum is that and that. It's inflationary, and that's why they migrate to a staking, right? Now, think about the staking part of it, right? it's inflationary. Where do you get the staking from? Where do you get the new Ethereum from? It's being printed. Yeah? That's just how I understand it. I might be wrong on this. I'm not a technical person. So people who are coding these things, I'm gonna have to come out here and chat, right? Comment down below if you are a developer and you know a lot more about Ethereum and how the tokenomic of it it's being distributed throughout the entire circulation. So currently you have about if you own one, you are one out of 100 million, 120 million out there. So again, there's no max supply here. There's no cap to it. However, if you look at XRP, right? If you look at XRP, here we go. Boom. So XRP is better, and this is why it's like superior, so to speak, quote unquote. There's so much FUD around this particular coin. Now, I'm not saying that they're like the what is it? The end all be all of crypto here. Okay, it's not why I'm telling you this. I'm telling you from a standpoint of the technology part of it. If you ever use Ripple before, you would know how fast it is, and it's like, it's being touted that it doesn't use as much energy. Now, I hate that part too, because I love Bitcoin as well. I think that Bitcoin has its use case, and XRP is going to have its own use case as well. The ambiguous, the shady part is the part where Ripple, as a company, has most of the supply locked up. Now, they do have their own company. Let me try to explain this to you. So Ripple is actually a company that is trying to solve a cross-border payment, okay? And you could actually own a share of Ripple on the, a private basis, right? You and I cannot buy it because we're not an accredited investor. But there are Ripple company out there that has its own shareholder, that has its own board of director, and they are aiming to solve cross-border payment. The reason why they got in trouble with the SEC, now I'm sure it's corruption too, right? Because they want to stifle the innovations part of this, the banking. Therefore, you have JP Morgan making this coin right now on the Ethereum network. Surprise, right? Because they could charge you fee. They continue to charge you fee. Now, Ripple is aiming to do the opposite for the bank, right? They want to make it cheaper for the bank to transact money, okay? But at the same time, if it's a ledger where it's in the public, right? You and I could interact with that ledger too. So that's what they aim to do. But of course, like, people were so much FUD around it. It's like, oh, this is a banker coin. This is not, they could change this, could change that. Now, I cannot argue. I cannot, speak too much about that type of thing because, again, I'm not a technical person. I'm not the coder. I'm not whatever. So I'm not qualified to tell you that. But that was the FUD, right? And I see the similarity between Ripple and how it was, being flooded versus Gamestop. Again, I'm not trying to compare these two together, obviously, but like the media coverage here, it's kind of like shady to say the least. And the fact that they are elevating Ethereum network now, which has its own, yes, it has its value. I'm not saying it's not, but it was being impeding upon this particular coin to be able to be the so that they could use this coin to facilitate cross-border payment. Now, let me go back to the Ripple aspect of it, right? So this coin exists before Ripple exists, okay? And the mechanism of it is just the consensual. Let me try to find a better word here. the consent mechanism is a little bit different than Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin is a proof of work, right? So you need energy in order to compete for that block. It's like that. It's blockchain. So one transaction at a time, however fast you could do it is based on how fast the computer solve the whatever mathematical equation in order to put that block on the next chain, right? So when computer compete, miners and all that stuff compete for that block to be put on that particular transaction, it costs energy. For Ripple, though, they have a different consensus mechanism where it doesn't cost as much. Now, they have a node. Again, I'm not a technical. This is just me understanding it beforehand. That you could operate without, there's no economic incentive to hold these nodes. You just do it out of, because you want to, You want to keep the network going, right? Because again, it's like every XRP holder has the incentive to hold this network, to hold the integrity of this network, right? So there's so many nodes out there that, technically you could be one of the master node, they call it, and you could hold that, that ledger, right? So each one has a piece of ledger where it could overlap, but not completely overlap. So if one node, have 100 transaction on there, and then they could cross reference each other and write at the same time. So node number 1 has 10 transaction, while node number 2 have 100 transaction, so on and so forth. Now, again, this is just in a nutshell. I'm not qualified to explain this, but it's just that that mechanism is a lot quicker because you already have the master node and all that stuff, and that could cross-reference each other at any moment in time. So if you want to verify your transaction on the XRP ledger, you go to one of those nodes, right? Now, again, not all nodes gonna hold that transaction, but because of the way that they could quickly do that on different type of nodes or different multiple nodes, you could do that a lot quicker than Bitcoin could, so to speak. So I hope that makes sense. But anyway, so that doesn't matter. Now let's go back to the the Ripple here, okay? The company itself hold most of this supplies of XRP. So that's the whole point of them. So, and then the reason why they get the status of selling unregistered security is because they sold some of that XRP to banks out there, to trying to get the banks onto this network in order to facilitate the cross-border payment, right? All right, with that note, let me give you a little bit of a break here. I'm sorry about that. I'll be right back.
Love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no, I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up, it's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape, find almost anything. All it takes is some time and some clarity to find your identity. It's mind over everything. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. 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 while he's looking back. Mirror breaks, aftermath. When I hate, I attack.
When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal.
And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. 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 Don't be scared. Just look it up. Don't be scared.
All right. I hope you enjoyed that. All right. Gotta go. Okay, bye, Lynn. Thank you. I'll watch it later. Appreciate you. And then let me see. DRS GME, she said pawn shop have cost to store goods advertising, and employee like Gamestop doesn't have the same thing. Yes, I know. It's ridiculous, right? Again, these are mental gymnastic to try to make GameStop like the worst company ever. I mean, I could like think of millions of different companies out there that was the worst type of company, right? Now, again, I didn't pay attention to GameStop before this whole thing, so I wouldn't know how terrible they were. But from what I heard, you know, if I am not in this play or am not owning the share and not knowing what Ryan Cohen and, you know, all that stuff, I'd probably be believing in the same thing. That's what they're hoping, right? They're hoping a lot of people is going to have the same mentality, the same sentiment, right? But what they don't realize is that there's new people coming in all the time that have the ability to think for themselves, right? And this is why, you know, Marantz is a very important, you know, figure to be able to, you know, live react to these type of FUD. IMF is only 6%, 60% diluted for so far though. Okay. IMF, IMX, I don't own the coins. I tried to, but you know, I'm just all in on Loop Ring right now because I just like it. I'm not saying that IMX is not good. I'm sure, you know, there's so many, just like Tetron was showing, that the network is already transact like $7 billion. That's huge, you know. So Ethereum can be deflationary if there's enough demand on the blockchain. It was deflationary at one point last year. Okay. I know that they moved to staking a couple years ago. Let me see. Because like they have, like, if you have 32 ETH, you could lock it up and then you receive yield from that. So I think that's what deflationary about it is, because, but again, what if you unlock it, right? That will become inflationary again, right? Because I know the deflationary part comes from the fact that you have to lock your 32 in order to get that 6% of ETH back. But again, like at some point, you're going to have to unlock those back. So it's going to become inflationary again. So again, it's just my limited understanding of this thing. So you might know a lot better, GME. IMX layer 2 has 0 gas fee. That's good. I like that. That's good. Okay, secure network. A portion of gas fee are burned. Okay. Is that for Ethereum? I see. Yeah, but only a portion though, right? Like, how much is that portion? 10%? I mean, 50%? I mean, XRP the same thing. Like they do burn those token every time you transact. I know, like for XRP though, it's like 0.00120 first, and then 1 2 per transaction. Now, if XRP become more expensive, it's going to be more expensive to transact, right? But the whole idea for XRP is to facilitate banks, right? In order for them to transfer money and use the public ledger on XRP in order to, switch from one currency to another very quickly using the public ledger. 90,000 were burned in the last year. Okay. While 60,000 was created from the block. Okay, so 300,000 coin? 300,000 ETH is being burnt from that 90. Lock reward. So what happened to the Ethereum that is being locked up? Can they free it? Can they free that Ethereum? If you could, I don't know. That's pretty cool. All right. If you could type that, respond for me, DRS GME, please. But anyway, so it's very interesting to learn about the network itself. But again, like I haven't been following Ethereum for a while because I was like, all in like in the stock market and trying to learn about the Federal Reserve and all that stuff, and just so much to keep track. But as far as like the network of blockchain itself, it's an industry that is that is going to be big. Yes, you unstake them now. Okay, so they have the ability to unstake the ETH previously. Okay. All right, so let's see. But yeah, so that's my 2 cents on Ripple and XRP. And of course, the fact that they win lawsuit after lawsuit, win judgment after judgment on the XRP versus SEC, it's promising, right? I think it's good for blockchain industry in general, crypto in general. So that's going to be good for GameStop as well. And I always said this, like, when you have the clarity on what crypto is, whether it's a security or not, whether it's a commodity, whatever it is, we just need a clear rule for that, so that businesses like GameStop could product fit into doing business better, right? Without any regulation, without, regulator coming in, hey, you're laundering money because you sell this NFT to so-and-so, right? So again, it's a added risk that we don't need right now, just like Morantz was saying. So, but eventually, when the coast is clear, which is kind of like where we're headed, in that blockchain thing, it's going to be massive. So that's why I'm in here for. And of course, the added bonus is the fact that we have Ryan Cohen, best leader ever, right? And he is here for the long haul to make this company better than it used to be. All right, so let's get to SoFi. Now I know I'm gonna lose some of you, but it's okay. One of those things that I've noticed about SoFi coverage, right, is always like, oh, so this is a day before their earnings. People were like, oh my God, they're gonna beat earnings and all that stuff. So listening into the CEO here and CNBC, sorry.
Let's get to SoFi CEO Anthony Noto joining us in a first on CNBC. Always good to see you. Student loans, at least the analysts seem to be a bit short here in terms of what they anticipated. It may have come in, I think on the call, you sort of seemed to indicate you expected that surge. But tell us a bit about that and what you're seeing there, whether it's the cadence. Is it a one-time thing, Anthony, and it gets back to normal, or is there going to be significant demand for these loans for some time?
Yeah, so David, I think there's just a misperception that student loans were a big driver in the quarter. They were not. 67% of our absolute growth in revenue dollars was from non-lending, so our technology platform business, as well as our financial services business, which includes checking and savings, invest, and credit card. We did see a recovery in the student loan business from about $400 million of origination volume to $900 million of origination volume, but it wasn't that big of an impact on the overall P&L, just given how those loans are valued. So the bigger driver of it was the really strong performance from tech platform and financial services, and still continued strong demand for personal loans. On the student loan side, to answer your question specifically, we think it will be a slow, steady, gradual increase over time, and that we're not going to get back to where we were in the fourth quarter of 2019, which was about $2.4 billion origination volume a quarter for some time period, probably not until 2025.
Got it. Well, on the call as well, you seem to try to focus the analysts on the technology platform. Explain to our viewers what you're talking about here, Anthony, when you say the pipeline there is pretty visible and it's the most robust I've seen. Just explain what exactly that means.
Sure. Our technology platform has a number of different products, but we're essentially providing processing, debit and ACH processing on the platform with a number of APIs that allows a developer to build just an app on top of it. It could be for a consumer-facing bank. It could be for B2B services. It could be for government payment services. In addition to that, we have what's called the core banking platform, which is branded Technisys, which is really an operating system for different products, whether it's checking or savings or a credit card or loans. We bought two businesses over the last 5 years to really power SoFi, but they also power third parties, about 135 million accounts and over 8 billion transactions a year. And so what we're seeing in a big way is traditional banks, large incumbent banks, looking to upgrade to a modern processor, which Galileo is in the cloud, as well as a modern core. And so we've, throughout the quarter, have been responding to a number of RFPs from the largest banks in our country as they're evaluating updating that technology. We're also seeing a lot of demand from other incumbents that want to switch to us that are not big, large banks, but they are financial institutions, or they have a large amount of payments or direct consumer offerings in terms of checking and savings accounts or other financial products. So seeing a nice pickup there and a need for the industry to upgrade their ability to manage assets and liabilities in real time.
Anthony, it's Sarah. You sounded pretty upbeat about the macro environment on the call. Can you tell us, first of all, you have a unique demographic that you serve, and what sort of consumer trends you're seeing so far into October?
Yeah, so I want to be very clear for the audience that SoFi is taking market share from incumbents, and so we're not really a key indicator of the economic environment or the cycle. We're a secular grower, which means we're gaining market share from an existing market, even if that market's not growing. So we're still seeing very strong demand for our loan products that are very differentiated. Our SoFi checking account, we offer 4.6% interest, no fees. You get a free certified financial planner. You can pay anybody, anywhere with your phone or debit card or P2P by just having their phone number. That product is seeing a significant amount of demand as well. And in that product, we are seeing an increase in deposits per account, which is more of a measure of how the economy is, as well as increased spending per account, as opposed to just being driven by new account openings. We're also seeing good increases in AUM. That's in our invest business. That's clearly a market share gain on the back of doing 3 IPOs. So we're still seeing really strong demand for our products. I would say more broadly, if we're going to be in an environment that's higher for longer, I'm really worried about the conditions in the financial industry more broadly, and that will cause us to be more conservative and more balanced to make sure we maintain the right safety and soundness of our balance sheet and our ability to serve our members.
Let's get to SoFi CEO Anthony.
So, CNBC, right? They put SoFi right in front of you. Obviously, their earning was kind of like miss one, right? I think I showed you that already. If you kind of revisit that a little bit right here, their revenue went up only 3%, right? But then they miss earning pretty substantially. I mean, 266%, but their stocks still go up 9%, 3 hours, right? And I was watching this. Of course, full disclosure, I do own SoFi. I do believe in the long-term, aspect of it. Not as much as GameStop, obviously, but it's one of those company that I do watch. I do own SoFi as like a user as well, meaning that I do use their product, and I love the fact that they, allow you to buy crypto, allow you to, all of those products that he was talking about was stellar, right? I love their product. However, when I looked at their earnings or their balance sheets, I noticed something that is a bit concerning to me, right? And of course, everybody is pushing this particular company right in front of you. And if you look at, the metric that I usually use for determining, whether I want to buy in for it, inside ownership is not too bad. You've seen a lot of company that I've shown you before that inside ownership is less than 1%, right? So the fact that they have some, of course, it's less than what GameStop has, obviously, but it's still something. However, another thing that I like this stock is because they have a low institutional ownership here, less than 50%. So that's pretty good. I mean, pretty, at the very least, I'm keep an eye on this one. I'm not going to accumulate more than I have right now. And I'm selling call against it right now too. So again, it's a long-term outlook for me. One of the things that it's concerning to me is this right here. So you have a operating cash flow of negative right here, $6 billion. Negative cash flow, $6 billion as well. However, they have a lot of working capital. That's good. Net cash, not too bad. Of course, it's in the positive. It's always good to see that. Have some cash on hand. Let's see, what other one? Quick ratio is not, and this is kind of concerning there. You want it to be above 3. With this one, that means that they don't have even the earning itself, can't pay the interest payment here. So that's the pain point here for this company. That's why every time you see the rip, it's always going to come down. Let's see. Now, what else do I like about this particular? I like the growth factor of it, right? There's so many more users coming in now over to SoFi, so that's a good sign. But again, they're gonna have to keep growing massively, even more. And I feel like I'm worried that they might overextend themselves too thin, and then be forced to dilute more of the company in order to entice more investor. And those type of investors not usually retail. It's always going to be like whether it's the senior notes and all that stuff, right? So you might have to be diluted. So another point of the cost of concern that people don't really usually tell you when they try to pump SoFi to you, right? Especially this type of segment here. And I'm sure, there's a reason why they push SoFi in front of you at this time, because they know it's going to come down here, right? and liquidity, right? To do what? I don't know. My speculation is to do this to GameStop, right? I don't know. I'm a conspiracy theorist here. Okay, let's go back to Sofi here. I don't think it shows here, but let me do a trailing 12. I'm looking for right here, Goodwill. Okay, so currently, of course, if you look at the balance sheet, I'll show you the most recent one, but this is the most recent one right here. Not only that they have goodwill, they also have intangible asset. So that's a double whammy right there, right? Normally they combine these two together. So if you were to combine these two, it's $8 billion, okay? So that number is important because if you have to subtract this from that, so 8 billion subtracted, 27.9 billion subtracted by the $8 billion, 0.8 point. So you get 19 of the total asset. Now, the reason why I do that is because, again, goodwill is just maybe there's a better person that could explain that goodwill. Better, hold on. Okay, let me, yes. Oh man, I can't find it. It might be too long. But goodwill, what it is usually a something that they bought, right? Whether it's a company or whatever, proprietary, whatever. And they bought it. They appraised the price for that. It may not be that, right? And so what we've learned with AMC2, right? They could have, or even GME, right? We have the impairment for goodwill as well if the market cap is lower than the actual goodwill. And okay, so $19 billion in asset, right? Without goodwill and intangible asset. And what is their liability right here? So why is it 0? I don't know. But if you look at the previous one, it's 19. So currently they have the same asset as liability without the goodwill, right? But what even more concerning is the fact that they have positive shareholder equity. However, that usually include goodwill, right? So eventually they're gonna have to, I don't know, if they continue to burn those goodwill, they're gonna have to offset it through revenue, through raising fund, through selling more shares, right? Parts of the company in order to stay afloat. So that's the only concern that I'm looking. It's pretty big though, that's why again these institutions don't want to own it because of that goodwill value. And again, they have to either expand to the point where they're gonna they're gonna cover it through expansion. Okay, let me put this guy up. Now I watch this guy quite a bit in the morning and he has pretty good explanation here. So I think he's gonna explain the goodwill impairment. So on this particular earning, the reason why they missed the earnings is because they had the goodwill of 250 million or close to $250 million. So he's about to go through that right now. Okay, let me turn it on.
Now, there is something in here about a 247 million impairment charge. What the heck is that about? Well, here is the screenshot from the announcement. This excludes the impact of goodwill impairment losses of $247 million for the 3 months ended in this, and then they go through that. And they don't explain what it is. It's very, very likely. So what is a goodwill impairment charge? It's not some sort of speech impediment. No, it means you now think an old acquisition, so something you bought in the past, is now worth less. Very likely related to the back office stuff they do. And why do it now? I'm not an accountant, but I can think of two benefits. One, it's not a cash loss. It's just a paper loss. It doesn't impact cash flow. It'll reduce your profits, and it'll therefore reduce your taxes if you're going to pay some. If you put it into this quarter, you don't have to put it in the next quarter, and you can come out with a positive real profit, a GAAP profit. And so that's probably it. I think that's probably it. So they probably just wanted to clean the books and they could write something off, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. But that's kind of what made them miss their profit guidance, but it actually doesn't really matter. So possibly they overpaid for an acquisition. Possibly it's just a tax dodge. Either way, I'm not particularly bothered. And then here he says, the man himself, in the impairment, and he says, it reinforces our confidence in achieving positive GAAP net income in the fourth quarter of 2023. So it's happening. Otherwise, he wouldn't be pinning his nail to the mast. His nail to the mast. His flag to the mast. Mast, even.
So the way that he explained it is a bit different than, what we understand. Well, what I understand from Lorenz is that when the market cap of the company is so low, lower than the Goodwill value, and if you look at the market cap now, I don't know at what point do they get this, maybe at the end of that quarter, which is September 30th. So let's go back to September 30th and see what is the market cap of, let's see. So September 30th, right here. So at closing, now let's go with the lowest one here, just in case they kind of like close here. So let's say $8, right? Let's try to be exact here. So on that day, 30th September, right here, September 29, of course, the 30th is on the Saturday. So I want to go the lowest one, which is 7.96. Okay, $7.96. $7.96. So I'm trying to figure out what the market cap of Sofi then was. Okay, I might do this wrong, but we'll see. So that's the price per share, and how many shares are there for Sofi? If you look at that right here, again, this might be incorrect. 50 million. No, 950 million shares outstanding. So the market cap of the company was this much. $7.56 billion. Okay, so $7.56 billion. But what was the goodwill? An intangible asset. Sorry. So goodwill was this and this, right? So if those two were to combine, what do you get? So let's remember that number together. Plus, I'm just doing the decimal here. 0. So 8. And then if you minus it by the previous one, which is 7.56 minus 7.56. Okay, so that's close to 700. So where did they get the 254 from? Perhaps they did make some money. So if that's the loss there for the impairment, so they need to make around 500. Ooh, hold on. That would be too much, huh? 2 billion. I'm stumped. So I don't know how they calculate that. Perhaps it's this is the end of it. That's why they already burned out. So let's go look at the SEC filing right here. How did they calculate that loss? I should have gone here in the first place. Sorry, you guys. Wasting time over here. Okay, so they did have the net interest income. I'm not qualified to look at the banking here, but I will try anyway. I think I'm looking for the Goodwill impairment. How about I'll do this? Goodwill. Okay, so Goodwill asset right here, net loss, close to that. Okay. So net loss is 200. See, total net revenue around that. And that's why you see this. So if you look at that, and this expression is minus this total net revenue right there, and it should equals to 200. So again, it's probably me not using, but that's close enough to $200 million that's lost for the Goodwill, unless they're using a different number right here, adjusted one, without adding that 7 and the end there. That 19 come out over here. Where is that Goodwill thing? Okay, and let me go back. Goodwill asset, Goodwill impairment right here, 19. What was my... Okay, close enough. 19 billion, no, 19 billion. This is expressed in thousand, yeah. So, $19 million right here. So, where did they get that 200 million from, though? I don't know, you guys. I'm sorry, I'm wasting time right here. But I need to go and look at it more myself. I just saw the earnings and I would just, let's make a video about it, huh? Waste everybody's time here. How's everybody doing? Hello, whoever joining just now. Okay, well, I mean, so far, again, to me, I like the growth here, the growth aspect of it, and the fact that they use technology. I use the product myself. That's why I naturally follow this company. But as far as the Goodwill aspect of it, they have way too much Goodwill. And that's why they are in danger of losing a whole bunch of market share, or, reporting loss after loss after loss. And see, if you keep reporting that type of loss due to Goodwill impairment charge, it's going to be a problem right here. See, Goodwill impairment chart right there. Now, the market cap right now at this price is $6.59 billion. So if the Goodwill is 6 point something here, if you look at this particular one, wait a minute, actually they might have it here too. It's probably a better, more accurate one. Goodwill, trying to look for the Goodwill impairment, but don't they have like the value of Goodwill? Right here, okay. So asset, okay, they actually have less Goodwill here, $1.3 billion. So I'm not sure where they get $6 billion in the other one is. You know what I mean? So it looks like they burned some there, not due to the market cap. I might have to ask Moran's on this a little bit more, because Goodwill, you know, what we've learned is because of the market cap. But in this case, I don't understand quite yet how they lost, unless Goodwill added to the other balance sheets up here. So that's expenses. But is there any other Goodwill due to the deposit? Could be. Goodwill impairment. Goodwill impairment. Goodwill impairment. Goodwill assets right here. Yeah, I need to read more into this, and yeah, sorry you guys. Where are you seeing $6 billion in Goodwill? Right here in this stock analyst. Boom. Balance sheet. Goodwill. Wait, unless... Yes, it's expressed in million right here. So... What you think? DRSGME, what do you think? And this is Sofi, by the way, so that's why is this inaccurate? But if you look at other numbers, it's all zeroed out, so maybe it's still being calculated somehow, so do apologize for that one. But yeah, if the Goodwill amount is $6 billion, hold on, let me... 6 million... Yeah. I mean, based on this one, though, this is total revenue. Unless banking stocks, they calculate different Goodwill value than, you know, regular stock. I don't know. It looks like the asset add up, but not the Goodwill. Okay, that makes sense. I'll have to read this up more in detail before I could verify that. But I appreciate you though for that clarification. Yeah, I mean, to me, this particular one, I'm gonna put a pin on this. But the fact that they have a goodwill impairment too. How do they get a goodwill impairment if the goodwill is lower than the actual market cap of the company, you know? Because it has to be, I mean, you know, how did they get the impairment chart? So based on this person, Felix here, Felix and friends, he just assumed that perhaps the company thinks that the value of goodwill was less, was the $250 million less than they previously thought, or because of the tax purposes. So I guess company could choose to do that if they wanted to. That also makes sense to me, right? Again, companies don't like to pay tax. If you look at what is the effective tax, see, they don't even they don't even pay taxes because they don't earn anything right now, so to speak. Tax loss harvesting. So companies do this all the time to try to, say to the government, oh, hey, they don't actually earn money. And then they just add it to the shareholder equity here, right, in order to profit in the long term. Oh, wait, this is Gamestop. No wonder they want you to sell. Of course, the analysts out there want you to hold this company. The low is 3, high is 8.9. And then the high is $16. They think that this stock is worth $16, right? So let's go and look again right here. Yes. So Sofi is not making money here. So again, perhaps it's due to deferring paying taxes. But yeah, that's all I have for this one. I appreciate everybody for joining today. I know, I didn't go any too in depth on that video there, but I feel like Marantz did a very good job at, kind of shooting that person down. I think what was her name again? 1 second. Illuminati or something. Something ridiculous right here.
Video. It's called trade-in value. As in,
let's see.
Supposedly opened and played games, then sold them as brand new anyway.
Right here.
PETA. What can I say? I never get tired of talking about them.
So funny.
I've had
though.
so many episodes about PETA that they've blocked me on Twitter.
She does
and yeah,
a whole
that's
bunch
right.
of other
They have in
stuff,
fact seen
but I
the
was
episodes
looking
that
for
I've made about them. Because although I have not interacted with them on Twitter,
she did about McDonald's and all that stuff, no ethic and all that stuff. So it's kind of along the line of what you would want to talk about here. Like abuse and all that stuff. But where is a video about Amazon being notorious for whatever, right? I haven't seen that.
So you
GameStop is a different company now, and it seems like she's been using old information about GameStop and the older leadership, and that's why it was a terrible company before. Now it's a different type of company, different leadership, different the same business model, but it's a little bit better because we are venturing into e-commerce, right? So that's why. All right, guys, it's been more than an hour. Thank you so much for wasting your time with me, and I appreciate every single one of you. I don't understand that Goodwill at all. I know I need to brush up on it myself as well. DRS GME. That wasn't definitely a hit piece. No, had to be paid for. Probably. But anyway, you guys, I will come back tomorrow around the same time because, you know, that's when I usually get off work. So, yeah, pretty much me having fun here, and I appreciate everybody who joined in and watching later. So, I appreciate